Hello and welcome everyone. I'm KP Singh and today we're going to discuss how to prepare for CLAT exam in next 45 days. I believe all of you have already registered for this exam and those of you who haven't will do it before 15th of April. Thank you so much for joining me on this webinar. If you guys haven't registered for this session, I would request you to do it after we are done with the webinar today so that you can get free access for 4 days of our entire online product. In addition to that, you will get a PDF version of this entire content that we're going to deliver today. And you also get a chance to win our entire CLAT 19 product for free. CLAT 2019. So what is it all about? Friends, CLAT is the mother examination of all law-related entrance exams that take place in India. CLAT is Common Law Admission Test, which is the common admission test for 21 national law schools operating in India. Every year, this exam is conducted on second Sunday of May. But this year, due to election season, we are going to do it on 26th of May. This exam comprises of 200 questions and you will get 2 hours to solve it. A major change from last year is that this year, this exam is going to be a pen based exam. That means you will write it offline. You're not going to use CPT. If you want to register for CLAT, you can visit their official website, which is clatconsortium.nlu.ac.in, or you can also visit clat.ac.in. There are 5 subject areas being tested here: English, logical reasoning, mathematics, general knowledge, and legal aptitude. This year, there are 21 national law schools participating in CLAT. Other than that, more than 24 private colleges have already signed MOU with the CLAT committee. So if you are targeting NIRMA or even NMIMS, you should consider taking CLAT this year. You guys are allowed to raise questions. If you need to know anything, you can just write down your question in the comment section. Guys, there is no upper age limit. That means anyone can appear for this exam, but you should have scored at least 45% in your class 12th. And in case you come from reserved category, then you should have scored at least 40%. In CLAT, all questions will carry equal weightage and you will get +1 for every correct answer and 0.25 would be deducted for every incorrect answer. So you need to give equal importance to all these subject areas. At least 45% in your class 12th. In case of a tie, CLAT committee is going to give preference to that student who has scored more in legal aptitude section. If there are more than 2 kids with same total score, then whoever was born earlier, that means whoever is more aged, will be given preference. In case there are more than 2 kids with same total score and same score in legal section and same date of birth, then they are going to pick student based on draw of lots. So that means your class 12 percentage is not going to play any important role in your CLAT entrance selection. So even if you didn't study that hard for your class 12, this is the time to make everything right. For next 45 days, if you're willing to put in your 100%, you will be studying at India's most prestigious college. So a question which generally people throw at me at this point of time is that, is it really possible to crack this exam in 45 days? Well, answer to this question is a big yes, and I will tell you how. First of all, guys, you need to know this exam thoroughly, which means that you should know what the syllabus is all about, what type of question will you expect in this exam, from where to study and how to study. Once you are done with thoroughly understanding the paper pattern and syllabus, then you should start collecting relevant material, which means you should know from which books to read, what all apps to be used, and you should also have access to all the past year papers of CLAT as well as AILT. Then you need to strategize your preparation. That means you will have to plan out each and every day of your work. As I always say, one strategy is not fit for everyone, and hence there can't be any uniform standard strategy for every student. You will have to customize it as per your own preferences, as per your own needs and your strengths and weaknesses. And once you have finalized your preparation plan for next 45 days, my advice to you guys would be to stick to that till your last breath, or at least till you are done with your exam. So in these 5 subject areas, they are going to cover plethora of topics, and it is not possible to cover up each and every question type in 10 or 20 days. So what we can do is, obviously you will have to do hard work, but along with your hard work, you will also have to put in a lot of smart work here. So we're going to pick up a subject and we're going to discuss more about each and every subject area. English plays an important role in CLAT exam and also in the legal field. In future, if you're working in a law firm, or whether you're working as an advocate and arguing in front of the court of law, the only thing that is going to matter most is what you speak and how you speak. And therefore, they have given it a hefty weightage in CLAT. There are 40 questions comprising, carrying 40 marks. Ideally, you should not give more than 20 to 25 minutes in your actual exam or even for a mock test in order to solve this paper. For this section, ideal time limit is 20 to 25 minutes. So what are you going to expect in this paper? In this section, you will generally face one RC, one reading comprehension. Based on that, there will be some fill in the blanks, through which examiner will try to test your knowledge of grammar rules, synonyms, antonyms, preposition, tenses, right? So the type of question that you have been facing since class 6th till class 12th, similar type of question you are going to face now. So how to do it? For this particular section, I will recommend everyone to go back to basics and start strengthening your grammar. An ideal book for preparation would be Wren and Martin, a classic. You can also go for Word Power Made Easy by Norman Lewis for improving your vocabulary. I will also advise you to start reading newspapers, especially the editorial part. Reading editorials will not just help you in improving general knowledge, but it will also help you in improving your vocabulary. Try to learn a new few words every now and then. Rather, every day you should take up a target of learning at least 10 new words. There are many good apps and websites available which can help you with this. You can try using flashcards, or there's an app called WordUp. Go out and check it out. And also make sure that you're solving as many past question papers as possible. There are numerous tests available for this subject area on many portals. Next major section is logical reasoning. In this section, friends, they are trying to check your problem solving ability. So you might expect questions from topics like syllogisms, logical sequences, parajumbles, coding, decoding, and the like. There will be 40 questions carrying 40 marks, and ideal time to attempt this section is not more than 30 minutes. If you look at past 3 years trend, logical reasoning section has been the most toughest one to crack. So what should be your strategy for this? So what should be your strategy for this section? First of all, practice, practice, and practice. Which means the more you solve, the more you will be able to answer that question with much less time required. Take as many online tests as possible. Learn the shortcut tricks. There are many YouTube channels providing you different ways they will teach you different shortcut techniques of solving these same question types. So make sure that you're not spending more than 40 seconds per question. If you can't solve that question in a 40 second time frame, it is a smarter choice to skip that question area for the time being. Another major subject is legal aptitude, which is also a tie-breaking subject area. Students who are not taking formal coaching from an institute are generally scared of this subject area because they think that they will have to learn all the legal concepts, which is furthest from the truth. You guys are just law school aspirants and not lawyers, and hence they can't ask any detailed legal concept from you people. So what are they going to ask? Generally, the question type that you're going to face is principle based legal reasoning question. They will give you a legal proposition and a factual situation, and all that you need to do is read that rule carefully and apply it on the given situation and answer in accordance with the principle without applying any previously acquired knowledge. The section contains 50 questions, 50 marks, and ideal time to solve it is 30 to 35 minutes. So what should be your strategy? When we analyze past 11 CLAT papers, we realize that most of the questions in this subject area are from 4 major topics. Either they will ask a question from torts or contract or criminal law or constitution. Legal knowledge based questions are generally from constitutional area. That means you will have to revise all your concepts from civics, which you studied in class 10th. Some of these questions are time consuming, so this section might require a bit more time than the other 4. So please make sure that you are allotting sufficient time for this section area. The biggest differentiator in CLAT exam is general knowledge. GK can make that huge difference between getting into endless Bangalore or getting into Bhopal or at the bottom of the list. General knowledge area will comprise of 2 question types, static as well as current affairs. Trend of last 3 years is that questions from static GK are not being asked that much. Hardly a few questions from static GK, and the weightage of current affairs is increasing every year. So if you have to prepare general knowledge, current affairs, there are multiple ways of doing it. For example, there are many good apps available. First of all, you should start reading a good newspaper. But now in next 40 days, I don't expect you're going to read all the newspapers from past 1 year. So what you should do is that you should buy a good yearbook and start solving that yearbook. That book will give you all the data of past 1 year in a very well organized and sorted out manner. If you think that buying a thick yearbook will scare you off, in that case you should consider about buying a few current affair journals or magazines like Competition Success Review or Pratyogita Darpan. Any one of these would do. If you don't want to spend that much money, log on to endeavorcareers.com and download Genesis. Endeavor Group has been publishing their in-house magazine Genesis on fortnightly basis. So just download all the past editions of this 1 year and start solving questions from those issues. In order to prepare GK thoroughly, first of all, you should know that you should gather information from the right sources. So what are those right sources? I think you might have been advised about reading newspaper by many people, but reading newspaper is not the only thing. Nowadays, student community is involved in so many different things that reading newspaper might be considered a waste of time, or rather a time consuming way to learn current affairs. So there are good apps available, like In Shorts is an amazing app if you just want to read everything that happened in past 1 day in 60 seconds. Right. If you want to get into details of any particular news, then you should refer to Knaply. So Knaply is another popular app which will give you detailed analysis of any news item. ideal time to solve this section shouldn't be more than 10 minutes. So if you have done ample practice, if you have been watching YouTube channels like Animeta, Study IQ, Endeavor Careers, then you would know what kind of question to expect. Always refer to past year question papers. Generally, students ask me that why should we solve current affairs questions from past year papers? Are they relevant? Answer is yes, they are relevant. Though the answers are not relevant, but the questions are. So you don't need to memorize those questions. You just need to know what kind of questions have these guys been asking in CLAT paper. So for example, if any major event took place last year, G20 summit or any major legislation, you would know what kind of question to expect from that particular news item. So for example, Oscars happened this year, right? So what kind of question do they ask? They might ask you, when was the first year the Oscars were given? They might ask you, who has won Best Actor Oscar this year? Right? If any Indian movie did really well, then expect a question on that one for sure. You should also learn about all the major happenings. Anything which appeared in mainstream media and stayed in news for more than 3 days becomes relevant for us. So all the major newsmakers, if someone has been appointed to a good post, for example, find out who became India's first Lokpal. Another major section, or the fifth section of the lot, is mathematics. So this section comprises of only 20 questions. And many students appearing for CLAT have a phobia for maths. At least I had it when I was your age. But then I realized that all this phobia is fake. Why? Because the kind of question they ask is only from class 10th level mathematics syllabus. Profit loss, time distance, proportion, percentage. And all of you know how to solve this paper, that kind of question. I know it because all of you are appearing CLAT. That means you have already passed class 10th. So a very common blunder that generally students make is that they try to skip this section altogether, thinking that it comprises of only 10% weightage, so we should not look into it. These 20 questions can be easily pocketed in. Difficulty level of these questions is not very high, though the variety of question that you would expect is a very wide variety. So what you can do is look into past year papers and try to find out those question types which have been repeated often in this exam. So for example, percentage or profit loss is something which will be asked every year, right? Friends, an ideal question paper is comprising of 20% question of very easy difficulty level, 15% questions will be very difficult to solve, and remaining 65% question paper is of medium level of difficulty. So if you commit the blunder of skipping an entire section, you don't really know whether that section contained difficult questions or the easier ones. So even if you are bad at maths, please make sure that you have given it ample time and enough importance so that you are not missing out on those easy scoring questions if this year mathematics section turns out to be the easy one and your strength or your strongest section turns out to be the difficult one. So which subject shall you take up first when you are appearing for mock? Again, people have different kind of idea about it. You might have heard many speakers giving you different ideas. So my take on this point is that you should always start with the best shot. So if a student is good at general knowledge, that he can start with general knowledge. If you're good at English, you should start with English. Your entire question paper can be divided into two question types. Questions requiring prior knowledge and questions requiring solving. So my advice would be that you should always start with a section which requires solving. So when you start your paper with a fresh mind, you are in a position to put in more effort. You are in a position to analyze that situation in a much better way, and your accuracy level would be higher. and leave a knowledge based section for the last. For example, general knowledge could be that area. Now, shall we do GK first or shall we leave it for last? Is another major question which generally we come across. Guys, a smart way to deal with GK section would be analyzing your last mock score, your performance, and trying to know whether or not you're good at time management. If someone is pathetic at time management, that means if in every test that you have given so far or you will be giving so next, if you're not in a position to finish off that entire paper in the given time limit, then please make sure that you're not leaving GK for the last. Why? Because in that case, it will give you unnecessary anxiety in the examination center. Let's say there are last 10 minutes remaining and there are more than 50 questions pending. So if you're bad at time management, make sure that this is either your first or second section that you're solving in your paper. If you're good at time management, then it is generally a good choice to keep GK for last. So whichever section you start with, you will generally end up devoting it more time than what you should. And whichever section you keep for last, generally you will end up giving it lesser time than what it should be actually given. Especially in maths, we generally say that you should have a fixed time strategy. Don't take up any question which requires more than 1 minute to solve. Make sure that you have cleared all your concepts thoroughly and take up any good reference book. For example, you can pick R.S. Agarwal or R.D. Sharma. On every topic, there are more than 200 questions or 300 questions. Do you need to solve each and every one of those questions? Answer is no. If you know that there's a very easy question type and you are in a position to solve it easily, you can skip that question type and try to solve as many different types as possible. CLAT is another name of unexpected. That means they have been surprising students year after year. So it happens every year that there will be a new question type or there would be some element of surprise for sure. Let me share some good resources from which you can start preparing. So in this slide you can see a list of good books which every law student should have, especially when they are preparing for their entrance exam. So for English, we recommend Word Power Made Easy by Norman Lewis. This book is considered like Bible for vocab building. If you are serious about preparing your vocabulary or increasing your vocab, make sure that you are using this book. In addition to it, look for a very useful app called WordUp. So, Verbal Non-Verbal Reasoning by R.S. Agarwal, Universal's Legal GK Guide. It contains information on all 5 subject areas. Pearson's Concise GK Manual for improving your current affairs. Legal Reasoning by A.P. Bhardwaj, which gives you ample practice on legal reasoning and legal knowledge questions. Aryan's Guide to CLAT, another huge compilation of questions, more than 10,000 questions. Plus Aryan's Guide for MSCT also contains past year MSCT paper, which is not easily available online. Wren and Martin for brushing your grammar concepts, and R.D. Sharma for class 10th level maths. Guys, this is the list of useful apps which you should be using. Endeavor Careers for taking many mocks as well as viewing videos containing detailed explanation of all the concepts. GK Today for solving quiz on daily basis. GK Today app will give you a 5 to 10 question current affairs database on daily basis. So if you haven't started solving it yet, start doing it today. Knaply for detailed news analysis. If you want to know how, when, what and why of every news item, this app is a must-have for everyone. In Shorts, this app will give you brief information about every news happening. So ideally how I prepare is that I will first read out everything from in shorts and then identify areas of importance. And about those important areas or those important news items, I will get into detailed analysis which is available on Crappily. For improving your grammar skills, British Council apps are more than useful. So there is an app for building vocabulary, there's another app by British Council for improving your grammar rules. WordUp is the most interactive vocab building app that you can find. List of some useful web resources. CLAT Consortium of NLU.ac.in, which is the official website for CLAT 19, should be your main point of reference for any kind of information related to exam. So if you want to know whether or not they are going to change pattern, you should log on to this website and cross-check everything. At this point of the year, every year we see many rumors spreading across the student community. Sometimes someone will say that this time exam is going to be conducted in vernacular medium. Someone might hear that this year there will be no negative marking, and all these kind of rumors are generally not true. If you want to cross check, please make sure that you are always checking official website. gktoday.net, either the app or the website, will help you in improving your information or your knowledge based on current affairs. Jagran Josh is another good portal for collecting general knowledge. There are many good YouTube channels available which provide free data and content. For example, Endeavour Careers app, you will find a monthly current affairs capsule in which they try to encapsulate all the important happenings of last 1 month in a 5-minute video. So just log on to Endeavour Careers YouTube channel and make sure that you are watching all the legal GK capsules of last 1 year. Study IQ is another good portal. They provide daily newspaper analysis. If you have that much time, if you can plan out your time accordingly, you can also start following this channel. Crash Course and Lex Animator are entertaining channels providing information about various social, legal and political issues. Lex Animator specifically provides entertaining and engaging videos related to legal concepts. So I told you where to study, and I told you how much time will you give to any particular subject or section. Now let me tell you how to plan out your day. Well, any entrance preparation is mostly about creating the right mindset. If you have the correct mindset, no exam is difficult to crack. So first of all, be motivated. As they say, motivation is the key to success, right? At the beginning of this session, I told you that hard work is necessary. You might have heard many scholars saying that hard work is the key to success, and there are others believing that there is smart work which is the key to success. But my philosophy is that the common factor here is the main point, which is work. So participation is the key to success. Unless you start participating, unless you start solving these questions, you won't be able to improve yourself. All this information is already available in public domain. You might have viewed many videos in which people will give you encouraging statement. They will give you motivating talks on why you should start preparing. But today we are going to talk only how you should be preparing. I will give you my approach, which I called past, present and future approach. You need to give equal importance to all subject areas rather than giving more importance to those areas where you are weak. Make sure that you are giving equal importance to each and every subject area. Competitive exam is not just about your knowledge. What they're trying to test is your speed, your accuracy, your question selection skills, as well as your time management skills. So you can say they're trying to check your efficiency level, right? So you should know that each and every subject is important and you will have to work on each and every area. You should divide your day into 3 parts. I call that past, present and future. Your first slot, that's the morning slot, should be dedicated to the past things. That means something which you should have done earlier but you missed out on. For example, if you're bad at GK, that's your fault. If you're bad at, let's say, English, that is something that which you should have improved earlier, but you didn't. So every morning, you should utilize that time to learn new things. As they say, morning hours are generally the best, hours to memorize something new. Especially if you have to give stress to your mind. Make sure if you have to learn something new, if you have to solve something difficult, if there's a concept area which tried multiple times but weren't able to crack or make it through, please make sure that you are solving those type of questions and you're learning new information in the morning slot. You should divide your entire syllabus into smaller chunks, and you should create small targets for yourself on daily basis. Don't dedicate one entire day for one subject. Make sure that every day you're creating a mixture of at least 3 different subject areas. Why shouldn't you give entire day to one subject area? Because generally what will happen is that as per your schedule, if today's date is dedicated to a subject which you don't like to study, you're not going to give your 100%. So rather than making it a good day to study and a bad day to study, make sure that every day is a good day to study and you can sandwich your difficult topics between the easier ones. So start with solving one exercise of maths. After that, you can also start one RC, learn a few new words, solve one section of GK from any past paper, solve a few coding decoding questions. That way, you will be preparing all subject areas simultaneously. So divide all these topics and take a target on daily basis. So you should have daily targets, you should have weekly targets, and you should have your 45-day target, which is to complete entire syllabus and revise it at least once. So I'm not giving you fixed hours. How much time shall you devote to your studies? As much time as is required to strike off all those topics which you have listed in your target list for the day. If it is only an hour's job, that's how much you need to study. If it takes 3 hours or 4 hours, then you should put in 3 or 4 hours. So 6 days, you should be taking up targets and completing your syllabus using various resources which we mentioned today. And on the 7th day, you should be revising what you did for last 6 days. So revision is more important than learning new concepts, especially when you're doing it at this 11th hour. So until unless you keep on revising, you keep on banking what you have already learned, you won't be able to recall it on time in your actual exam. I always say that revision will increase your knowledge. Your reading and revision will increase your knowledge will increase your confidence, and your confidence will increase your time, your speed. And knowledge plus speed means better accuracy and better score, which obviously means a better college. So in the morning hours, you're going to learn new things as well as solve questions from mathematics and logical reasoning as well as legal reasoning. In the afternoon, you're going to work on the target that you have taken for the day. So how many hours? As much as are required. And in the evening, we do something which is called future reading or advanced reading. That means in the evening, you're going to deal with those areas which you haven't learned. For example, solve at least one mock paper per day, if possible 2. So right time to do it would be in the evening. So in the evening when you solve a mock paper, it will take you 2 hours. But solving is not the main part here. But after solving that paper, you should sit for another an hour or so and try to analyze that question paper and realize what your strengths and weaknesses are. How will you improve your score? Identify those question types which you skipped that day because you didn't know how to solve it. Once you list out those question types, pick up 10 or 5 topics from that area and add it to your next day's list. That way, you will be increasing your base of questions. So with every passing day, number of topics which you list out will keep getting shorter and shorter. And our target is to reach zero level. That means no topic shall remain which you don't know how to solve. Then once you're done with this exercise, if you do it for 10-15 days, you will realize that you know how. Then it's about improving your speed and your accuracy level. So next target area is silly mistakes. Identify those question types which you knew how to solve but still answered incorrectly. There will be a few question sets or question types which you knew how to solve but you couldn't do it when you were actually attempting that paper. So these silly mistakes or these areas in which you committed silly mistake is the easiest part which can be improved in your preparation. So work on these areas, it will improve your accuracy level. That way, if you keep on repeating past, present and future, within 45 days, you would have finished off the entire syllabus of CLAT. Along with that, you would have revised it at least 4 times using 4 different Sundays. And practicing as many mocks as possible is the right way to make sure that you're covering each and every question type and there is nothing that CLAT can throw at you which would be a surprise for you. So with this note, I would like to repeat that if you haven't registered about this webinar till now, once we're done with the webinar, please go to the link in the description below and register yourself. By registering it, you will get access to the PPT that we use today. You will also get access for 4 days free trial of our online product, and some of the lucky ones of you will also get the entire product for free. So we have created amazing videos on each and every topic. We have provided topic tests and detailed subject tests and also access to All India mock test series. If you guys have any question, you can write it down in the comment section. We'll be taking up a few questions now. Anything related to your preparation strategy. Prashant Akbari, any jobs and opportunities that are available in the legal field. Most of you will be working in law firms in future. If you're not interested in the law firm area where you will be working in a particular subject matter, let's say if you're part of contract management team, you will be working on contract management. If you're part of merger acquisition team, you'll be working on mergers and acquisitions. If you're not interested in law firm, you might become a legal manager in some of the other MNC. Every MNC, whether big or small, they have their internal legal department. So whether you're working for Coca-Cola's legal department or DLF's legal department, you will be working on a particular type of rules and regulation. Someone who is part of DLF's legal team will be dealing with real estate law. Someone who is part of, let's say, Coca-Cola's legal team will be dealing mostly with contract management and consumer issues. If you're not into that, you can also start targeting government exams. You know, UPSC result came out today. And just go out and read the newspaper. You will realize, just like every year, even this year, there are many lawyers in the list of toppers. So what are you going to study at law school covers most of the syllabus of your UPSC preparation. If not UPSC, then state PCS is also an amazing option. Cutting it short, there are plethora of opportunities available after law. You can either, you will require a lawyer at every stage in your life. If you want to start up a new company, you need a lawyer. If you want to wind up your company, you need a lawyer. If you want to get married to a lover, you will require a lawyer. If you need divorce in life, you need a lawyer. So that means these people will be required at every nook and corner. These people will be required for every important issue. I hope that answers your question. We have an entire full-length video on on careers in law available on our YouTube channel. Kindly go and watch that. Ashma Hamidi is asking that she's preparing for both MSCT Law and CLAT. Which exam she should focus more on? Well, syllabus for these exams is more or less same. But as MSCT is scheduled in April, whereas CLAT is on 26th May, it makes more sense to right now concentrate on MSCT rather than focusing on CLAT. Although even if you are preparing for MSCT, you are contributing towards your preparation for CLAT. So it is not going to harm you. Only paper, test taking strategy would differ. MSCT comprises of 150 questions. In CLAT, you will face 200 questions. In MSCT, there is no negative marking. In CLAT, there is 1/4 negative marking. 0.25 will get deducted from your score. In MSCT, there are just 150 questions and you get 2 hours. In CLAT, you will be solving 200 questions in 2 hours. So in a way, you can say that MSCT is slightly easier than CLAT to crack. Last year, there were 19,000 students who registered for MSCT exam and there were 50,000 students who registered for CLAT. So right now, please focus on MSCT. Mrityunjay Goa has a question that which articles are important. He means articles from Indian Constitution are important from the point of view of CLAT exam. Well, there's a list of important articles available on many websites and portals. Especially, you should focus on Part 3, Part 4 and Part 4A of Indian Constitution. And if you don't want to memorize that much, at least Part 3 is fundamental rights. So right to equality. Also keeping in mind various important articles like right to life, Article 21, prohibition of untouchability, Article 17, even emergency provisions like Article 352, 356 and 360. One article which has been asked many times is Article 32. They have been asking this question in different forms. Once they asked which article of the Constitution was referred as heart and soul of Constitution by Baba Saheb Ambedkar. Answer would be Article 32. Once they asked Article 32 has been referred as, there were 4 options and answer was heart and soul. Then Article 32 contains 5 writs. They have been asking questions on writs every year. So it becomes the most important article. Log on to YouTube channel of Endeavor Careers. Look at the video available of constitution making. In that entire video, we have listed out all the major articles which are there. Rashi, that is it possible to crack CLAT in 45 days? Rashi, yes, indeed it is. So I'm not just saying to cheer you up or just to motivate you, because I have been witnessing this thing happening for past many years now. So what I have realized is that it is not the smartest student who is going to crack this exam. It is always the most sincerest one, the one who is making consistent efforts and who is not blindly following others. Someone who is not just doing smart work but also doing hard work consistently and knowing from where to study and what to study. If you have 2 years to prepare, you have that kind of leeway available that you can start reading some random stuff. But right now, you need to read only important features. So first thing that you should do is, you should ensure that you have solved all past year papers. Start doing it right now, start doing it from today onwards. So solving paper is not something that you do after completing your syllabus. It is something that you do along with your syllabus. Ashma has a question that can we take up criminal law in practice after completing law if we are pursuing BBLLB, or do we need to stick to BLLB? Well, Ashma, this 5-year integrated course was designed to bypass a government norm which says that you need to complete graduation before applying for LLB. And hence, they had to cut up two courses together. So this 5-year integrated course is a dual degree program. And the most standard type of course available is BA plus LLB. But that's not the only program which is available. There are many options nowadays available. For example, BBLLB, BCom LLB, BSc LLB. There's a private college in Dehradun, UPS Dehradun, offering BTech plus LLB. So what we need to realize here is that this degree, this course, is not about BA or BCom or BSc. It's the entire focus will be on LLB and subject areas that are being taught in LLB. So you need to focus on getting into a better law school rather than thinking about BA or BSc. So what will happen is, even if you're pursuing BA, you're allowed to pick any specialization. Even if you're doing BSc LLB or BCom LLB, you're allowed to pick up any specialization. There is no restriction. There is no hindrance. So answer would be yes, you would be able to take up criminal cases even after doing BBLLB. That's not an issue. Abha has a question here. If someone hasn't started with maths at all, and I'm guessing that she is also from non-maths, how to go about it in 45 days? Well, Abha, my suggestion to you would be that don't try to solve everything right now, right? It generally depends upon many factors. For example, I would put into factor what's my speed while I'm solving these questions, what's my accuracy level in this particular section. So we have given you ideal time limit of 15 minutes. So you shouldn't be devoting more than 15 minutes for this subject area. Now make sure that you are scoring as many marks as possible within those 15 minutes. So how to go about it? Look into the past year papers and look for patterns. And by patterns, I mean to say there are some question types which are asked more than the other types. For example, percentage and time and distance will appear in almost every question paper. So ideally, you should start picking top with maths which you think is much comfort to solve. So pick up easier ones, pick up profit loss, pick up time and distance, pick up ratio proportion if possible. And pick those areas first. And once you are confident that you would be able to solve all questions from these particular topics, then if time permits, think about expanding that base further by including more and more topics later on. But right now, make sure that you are in a position to solve at least 10 to 12 questions from the maths section. And that's an ideal score in maths. Mrityunjay has a question that in legal reasoning section, generally there are two options which are very similar to each other, and it becomes difficult to identify which option is the better choice to pick. Well, Mrityunjay, I will give you a quick tips. Kindly note it down. Once you're reading a principle based question, make sure that you have identified all the factors from the principle. The definition clauses. So you should know what all elements will club together and definition of that concept. So let's say if I am defining negligence, there will be three essential elements come across every now and then. Negligence means breach of duty owed resulting into foreseeable damages. So I said there is duty, there's breach, and there is damage. Right? So out of those four options, whichever option is satisfying highest number of elements is the most obvious choice. In case you think that there are two or more options satisfying equal number of elements from the principle, then you can apply a few tricks here, right? Don't pick any option which has should have or could have in it, because if option has should have in it, it is generally a recommendation and not the answer to your question. And go for the option which is lengthier one. This is not a rule, it is just a trick. If you have to take a call within a fraction of second during the exam day, go for the answer with better. That way you can decide option in 30 seconds. If it is taking more than 1 minute for you to solve a question, that question is not worth it. And moreover, the more you practice, more improvements will you make in your decision making with respect to better options. Especially in legal aptitude, up to 30% question would be repeated from past year papers. So even if you have solved all past year CLAT, ALT and SCT papers, you know at least 30% answers from your legal aptitude section. Kia Shah needs to know more about legal knowledge. Well, Kia, in legal knowledge, what kind of questions do they generally ask? They will either ask you about a legal personality, which means all the major appointments, current Lokpal, who is the current CGI, who is India's current law minister, who is the chairman of Niti Aayog, who is CEO of Niti Aayog. These kind of questions have been appearing news, right? Who is the current chief justice? Who is going to be the next chief justice of India? And about every post, you should at least know about the first guy who holded that post and the current one. So let's say if you are trying to find out current law minister, find out about the first law minister. If you're trying to know who is the current attorney general, you should also know who was the first attorney general. Right? Second type of question which they ask in legal knowledge is about developments in legal segment. For example, if government enacted a new legislation, Consumer Protection Act has been amended, they have created a new act, surrogacy law has been passed, right? These are major developments happening in the parliament with respect to legal field. Then they might ask you about judgments. So landmark judgments, do you need to memorize all? Answer is no, a big no. Rarely have they asked about any case law, and memorizing all these case laws is an almost impossible task. So what you should do it, you should know about major judgments of this past 1 year. There is a YouTube video available on Endeavor Careers website. We conducted a webinar couple of weeks back in which we discussed all the major judgments of last 1 year. My suggestion would be to you to go through that video. It's hardly an hour long video. We are discussing all major judgments of past 1 year. Important legal happenings of CLAT in 2018-19. Third, they might ask you about judgments. And fourth, they might ask you about any controversy having a legal angle. So, Kulbhushan Jadhav matter going on in ICJ, you should know about it. There's an Indian judge in ICJ, you should know about him. Government has launched ASAT, which is a missile to destroy satellite, and it created debris in space. You should know which agency of which international body deals with such cases. So there are many aspects related to legal knowledge which you should try to cover. What are the correct sources from where you should study? Right? We do provide you legal update videos on YouTube. Go through that. Other than that, you should consider buying Universal's legal. The booklet is not that thick. It can be easily covered in a week or so. So by Universal's Legal GK, make sure that you're reading all those topics that they have covered, like books and authors. So for example, because CLAT is law entrance exam, examiner's tendency would be to ask question related to legal field. No, not from law, but legal field. Let's say even in English, when they're asking foreign phrases, they generally tend to ask legal maxims. Even in word correction and spell check, they will give you words from legal field. If you look at past papers, they have asked you words like barrister, corroboration, testimony in the past. Right? So buying that book and solving past paper and reading newspaper in shorts will give you ample preparation for legal GK. Mithilesh has a question that legal reasoning, logical reasoning is the subject area which he is generally scared of. So how to deal with it? Well, Mithilesh, if you look at past three CLAT papers, one thing stands out clearly. The only subject area in which they have been increasing the difficulty level year by year is logical reasoning. Especially questions of critical reasoning, right? Which for many students are a big no. So how to go about it? Solve from relevant sources. LSAT India's official website, Pearson View, has given free material for practicing. So if you log on to their website, even if you're not appearing for LSAT, LSAT India's material is available, right? Make sure that you're solving English portion and logical reasoning portion from that paper. So the kind of critical reasoning question that you face in LSAT is the toughest level that can be attained. Nothing more than that is required. And plus, there are many good websites available where you can find ample material to practice for free. So utilize as many free resources as possible and make sure that you are practicing critical reasoning questions every day. Plus, learn all the shortcut tips and tricks to solve reasoning questions in a much quicker manner. So what generally happens is that student, when he or she is studying at a particular coaching institute, teacher will teach you that topic with using a particular method. Not everybody is going to excel in that same method. So learning from different people and different sources generally helps us in improving our skills. Vedang has a question, what can be the cutoff for this year? Well, Vedang, brother, this is a tricky one. CLAT, as usual, has always been an unpredictable exam. So what happens is that there is no good score in CLAT. There was a year when more than 7,500 students scored above 100. And just a year before that, only 400 students could score above 100. So if the paper is difficult, cutoffs will go low. Paper is relatively easier, your cutoffs will go high. Ideally, if I look at last year's paper, if you want to get into top 5 law school, your score should be around 140, not less than that. Right? But for every CLAT paper, there's a different cutoff. So don't think that if I'm saying 140, 140 becomes the red line. Many times people with score as low as 120, 110 have also got into top 5 law schools. It depends and it varies from year to year. So what we can do is, we should ideally be targeting a good rank rather than a good score. Which means even if that question paper is tough, you should not get demotivated. Motivation is the key which will help you improve by every passing day. So please make sure that you are getting that daily dose of motivation which is required to give you a kick to prepare for. When the preparation begins, there are 50,000 plus registration every year. But by the every day passes by and more people start losing hope. And in the end, it is a competition between last 5 to 10,000 sincere kids who really want to crack this exam. So please make sure that you are fighting, you are in it till the last breath, till the last day. So don't give up and keep practicing. Mrityunjay has a question, rather a suggestion. Please teach us some phrases like this which may come in CLAT or AILET. Okay, Mrityunjay, I have a suggestion for you. After we are done with this webinar, go on and register using the link below. It will give you to the online product of Endeavor Careers. In that portal, go to the video section, and there are two videos available on important legal maxims, through which I'm trying to teach important legal words which you might come across in your actual exam. So at least go through those videos. It's completely free for you for right now. So please make sure that you do visit and you do those questions. That way, I think your query would be resolved. I hope that helps. So I think pretty much this is it. All the best, guys. Thank you so much for staying on with me patiently. All the best for all the upcoming exams. Thank you so much. I keep saying signing off.